Hi guys, I've been thinking about how we can decorate your fish. As you can see, I've got quite a few pairs of fish here, and I've just been playing around with what I have at home. Obviously you're not going to have the same as I have. I've got everything: paints, pastels, pens, but I'm sure you've got something that you can colour with. So this one's probably the simplest. It's just felt pens, and I've drawn lines. It's very colourful, very effective, very easy. You can make them more complicated. Remember we did some of the little stencils. This one, I've used this stencil, and I've used the pens and gone at little spacings and coloured them in. That does take quite a little bit of concentration, but the effect is really lovely. So I was thinking about how we can get scales on. It's quite tricky actually, because scales alternate, and I thought, well, that might be difficult for some of you. I found it quite tricky myself. So to make it easier, I just put little bands in between. You all know how to do over the hill for your M's and your N's. So putting a little band in between, and then you can colour it afterwards. I'll just show you on this one. So just with a biro, you don't need anything fancy. Over the hill, another 2 lines, over the hill, and you just keep going, and those 2 will make a matching pair. And you can colour them in with felts, or well, you might have a little paint box, so that one's quite good. So this one, this is just painted red, and I've drawn over the hill, and then I've started in the centre of the bump, a bit like when we used our stencil here. We lined it up. Again, that's just a little bit of red paint, bit of biro, very effective. I might go over it with a bit of white paint to highlight it. Now this one, well, this one's just using my fingertips. I'm just going to get a bit of paper here so I can show you. I've just got some poster paints here. I'm going to make them quite runny. And then I just did a wash of paint. You can see it's not that strong. Tricky to know just how much to put on. And then, look at that. Rather lovely. I've got a little bubble there though. Oops, let's burst that bubble. Just going to go over there. And then with the back of my brush, I'm going to, if it's, do the fins. So that's worked well. Very simple, very effective. Now this one, I'm not quite sure about this one. I used an oil pastel. It's a bit like when we use wax resist. So I'm pressing down quite firmly. I don't think I really got the right colour here. Using the banded version, just drawing on a few scales. You could experiment on bits of paper before you do it onto your cutout. That's a bit redder, that. Quickly mix. Again, I'm whizzing through as usual. Oh, that's working quite well. And I think once it's dry, you could probably scrape a bit of the paint off to reveal the oil pastel underneath. So there's another one. Right, the Babybels. Now, this didn't work as I imagined it. I thought I might get nice smooth lines with it, but I'm always saying experiment. You don't know what you're going to discover. So basically I just smudged it over. Just smudged it over. It doesn't really look much, does it? And I thought, oh, that's no good, and I tried to scrape it off in the hopes that I could use it for something else. And then I got some paint. Now, the other thing I want to mention, oh, now you see I've got so much wax on there, we're not getting much. That's quite interesting. Not what I imagined, but then again, you don't know what you're going to get into. I'm using pinks, reds and oranges. Your little aquarium is going to have a blue background. If you have blue and green fish, they won't show up as much as reds, oranges, yellows, purples, pinks. So yeah. And lastly, this isn't a painting one. This is the stencil. So I was trying to work out how I can make the fins line up well. I think I've got a little red pen here. So again, remember we used the centre bits, so I've just lined them on top of the fins. This one needs to be practiced on paper for sure. And then line them up so the little spur, the little jutty out bits are over the middle of the previous fins. And then you make it shorter. No, that's not right. See, it does take a little bit of thinking. I'd ask for some help with this. Get someone to help and hold it down for you. But it does get the best scale effect. There we go. I'll do a little bit, and then you can put whatever expression. I'm cheating a bit. So there we have it, different ways of decorating your little fish. Again, if you don't have paints, you can use pens or even biros. Have a little go. I'd love to see your results. I'm going to be doing a Zoom on Wednesday. So if you've got any fish that you've decorated, have them ready and we can share. And if you've got any other ideas about how we can get colour on, that would be great. I will do another video of doing the sticking on of the scales. Remember, we were recycling all our coloured paper before we put it in the recycling bin. I'll do a little video about the scales. Okay guys, enjoy, experiment. Doesn't matter if it doesn't work, something might come out of it. Okay, look forward to seeing your results.